Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Well, guess we got to figure out how we going to make it through the rest of the week, because ain't going to be no game 6, shawty. The NBA Finals are over. The Golden State Warriors, for the second time in the last 3 years, have won a championship. We talked to Rick Bucher about this yesterday. He talked about how long it had been since there had been a championship won locally for one of the teams. And I said 1975 when the Warriors won the championship that year. But no, technically 1989, right? The A's won in San Francisco after the earthquake. By the way, Shannon, do you remember any of the last 2 games of the 1989 World Series?
Just remember the earthquake.
It's like they never happened. Like, it was a sweep. It ended at that point. But it's really, those are the 2 most forgettable games in the history of baseball because, a whole lot happened right before. But they got it, man, and they was lit out there last night, boy. They were lit. You have to say nothing but congratulations to the Warriors. I guess we got the chance at some point to get into all those big old historical discussions. But in spite of the margin of victory, I thought last night was a good game. I thought the Cavs, it stayed closer later than any of us, I think, thought that it could have. We're coming in the last 2 minutes, and it was going to be unlikely that the Cavs could have pulled something off. But with JR pulling them shots out his keister like it was, it seemed like they had a possibility to win that game. Hey, we got a good one to close this out. We only got a 5-game series, but I don't feel like any of those games are just lopsided from the beginning, right? Like from I guess maybe game 4 where the Cavs won, but I didn't feel like we had any of these games where the second the game started, you were like, oh, yeah, this is over. Yeah, this is a wrap. No, that's not what we got. Like, I'm not one of those people that requires a game to be a nail-biter all the way to the end for me to find it interesting or to find it compelling. And so, as a result, I found this series to be a very, very interesting one. I know the Cavs got to be like, oh, so now you show up, Tristan Thompson? Welcome to the game, buddy. Welcome to the game. We've been waiting on you. Of course, the guys on the bench were like, no, we don't want to play today. Why would we do that? 7 points from the dudes off the bench. Kyle Korver played 18 minutes, gave him 3. Richard Jefferson, 4. Darren Williams, you know what Darren Williams gave him. None. And your man Kevin Love, by the way, put up a stinker on the way out the door. He put up a good old thanks for nothing performance for them.
All right, Kevin Love got into foul trouble early. What do you think about the officiating calling it close early?
I feel like they kind of had to, except they didn't stop us from having a little bit of a kerfuffle, a brouhaha between David West and Tristan Thompson. And it was very interesting because when those two got into whatever it was, you knew they weren't going to fight. Nobody's going to fight in an NBA Finals game. These dudes don't fight when the games barely count. They're not fighting in an NBA Finals game. None of us thought that they were going to fight, but they were so close to each other that I'm surprised there was not some of that accidental smoochage. Like they got so close and they were so lip to lip on each other. And where I found it confusing was, hey man, now that we have clearly established that you gentlemen are not going to fight, y'all can back up, right? Is that fair? Like once it becomes clear that you guys know you're not going to fight, y'all can back up. Of course, your man JR came over late. I'm going to put somebody right fast. Isn't that kind of the role JR played in the last NBA fight worth discussing? The Nuggets and the Knicks, isn't that what he did there? Didn't he show up late to that one? Didn't he get the biggest suspension in that one, too?
I have to check. It was either him or Nate Robinson. I have to check.
Oh, I forgot about Nate Robinson, who had been waiting all day long for somebody to bring up a fight. Nate Robinson was the Steven Jackson of that particular one. Like, oh, man, I didn't know we was going to be fighting. I'd have worn my other shoes. But, yeah, man, that's the game that we got. LeBron, 41, 13, and 8, all for naught. That's all it was, all for naught. They got a great game out of Kyrie. Kyrie this time was the one that had the good plus-minus. He was the only guy in the starting lineup for the Cavs that had a positive plus-minus, in spite of him doing things like dribbling out 20 seconds of the shot clock. Like, the Cavs have to feel like, they shot 43 from the floor. 53 from the floor. They shot 46 from 3. Lost the game by 9 points. Right? Like, I don't think the Warriors put up a good, not great offensive performance, or they managed to get to the line a decent bit, I guess more than you would necessarily expect from that team. But this isn't like Cleveland didn't play well in this game. There were others where they didn't. This one, though, I also do think it became clear that this team is just all about, all right, y'all two going to have to make all the shots and all the passes, which is a recipe for disaster, by the way. Like, one thing the Warriors have going for them as a staff, as a label, as a crew, nobody has to make all the passes. Like, Steph is a very good playmaker, and he gives you that, but there's nobody on that squad that's required to make all the passes. Like, it's a little different this year because they got Jaja and JaVale McGee, but you think about last year, when they roll out there with Bogut, with Curry and Draymond Green, you got three guys that can make the pass to make it happen. The Cavs, no. They're not really playing in that. It's like LeBron got the ball, Kyrie's got the ball, and if these other cats ain't making shots, and, other than JR, who was just like, hey, guys, maybe I should have showed up a little bit earlier, my bad. Who knew JR was going to be the one to be like, yo, we need this game? Somebody got to do it. It might as well be me.
LeBron and Kyrie scored or assisted on 78% of the Cavs' points in the finals.
78? 78. So once again, how is it that LeBron, no matter the team that we put around him, we wind up at the end of the year being like, yeah, man, this dude need a little more help. Right? The only time we don't say that is if they win the championship. Well, we didn't say it in 2011 either, even though they did need a little more help. But that's that. Shout out to the Warriors, though, man. Steph Curry scored 27 points a game in the finals, and none of us thought for a second that he would be the MVP. 34 points in an elimination game. None of us thought for a second that he would be the MVP. 34 and 10 assists, by the way, and none of us thought for a second that he would be the MVP.
To that same point, when it comes to finals MVP, yeah, we get it why Durant would have won, but who comes in second? Steph Curry on the winning team or LeBron on the losing team?
No, I would have had LeBron. Right? Like, I am one of those people who can look and say, okay, maybe the player on the losing team was better than anybody else that was on the winning team. But it's hard to be like finals MVP for a team that doesn't win. I mean, that's a difficult one. I did, except when we out here like manufacturing reasons to give the dudes the MVP. For example, when they gave that MVP to Andre Iguodala in the 2015 finals, the one where the Warriors won. When they gave him the MVP there, I'm like, come on, man. Nobody was watching that and being like, wow, what an amazing series from Andre Iguodala. I mean, we weren't there. Now, the other problem is LeBron was shooting something like 30, 35% from the floor because he had to do every single thing for that team. But I did not feel like there was anybody on the Warriors that had truly merited being the finals MVP, especially not after we watched Steph have a couple games where he got the clamps from the Delmeister. Like, it just wasn't there. But no, I mean, I saw Tom Habershaw wrote the thing on ESPN.com about why LeBron should be the MVP. We had him on. He made very, very compelling arguments. But in the end, they didn't win the series. And if LeBron had gone off for like 58 in this, then maybe we'd have been talking about something. But they didn't win the series, man. They didn't. So I can't go with the LeBron as guy. But for second place, yeah. You can be on a loser team. I can feel like you're the second place guy for the MVP. And Steph, are we being too hard on Steph? Because he scored 27 points a game in this. But did you walk away from this feeling like, man, Steph played really well in the finals after scoring 27 points a game in said finals? Like, did anybody walk away feeling like that? I did not. Another interesting thing, too, about the Warriors, they made an interesting, I would say, strategic adjustment in this. In this last game, Iguodala played 38 minutes, right? Like, they were like, okay, we got this, we got the big guys who put them out there. JaVale McGee didn't even touch the court. They were just like, all right, we got to do what we can, put our best defensive players out here. And LeBron still scored 41 on 19 of 30 shooting. With 13 boards. And with 8 assists. Yeah, so that did happen. Now, we got Draymond Green here from the postgame. Here he is talking about what the big change was that made them unstoppable.
Steph definitely took a backseat to start the season until he realized we didn't need him to take a backseat. We need you to be aggressive as you're going to be. And, when Steph turned that corner, I think it was after Christmas Day, when he turned that corner, we became almost unbeatable. And, that's what we needed. And so, there was this whole thing of who's going to take less shots? Is it going to be Steph, KD, Clay? None of them. The ball's going to find who it need to find at the end of the day, and that's those three guys. And we need them guys to shoot the ball and score for us, and they did that.
See, that's where you got to give Steve Kerr a whole lot of credit. The fact that this team could be like, the ball's going to find whoever's supposed to get the shot. Right? Like, I mean, to have those guys come on the team and just be like, okay, now who's going to take fewer shots? Oh, we all going to get shots, baby. Don't worry about that. Every last one of us is going to get shots. And every last one of them did get shots. And interestingly, one guy did sacrifice shots, and it was Draymond Green. And he's the dude who doesn't trip over that thing. Like, he's not worried about it in that way. But no, credit to the Warriors, man. Like, this is just like you want to go. Like, I go through the box score and you look at all the different things individual players did to get this, to get that, or whatever it was. But this really came down, I think, to what Draymond said there right there. Ball going to find who's open. The ball's going to find who's supposed to get the shot. And then from there, you have legitimately, I think we could argue, 3 of the greatest shooters who ever lived. And the ball is then going to find them. Yeah, congratulations, because you ain't going to see something like this every day. Well, except for maybe like the next 2 years from those guys.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
We were just talking last segment about just how this went with the Warriors and them winning this championship as of last night. By the way, even like I didn't have a rooting interest in these finals, but I always love watching championship celebrations. Like, everybody's so happy. It's like being at a wedding, right? Like, everybody at the wedding is always so happy. And so you look there for all those people in that crowd. And remember this about Warriors fans. Now, granted, this is the second championship, so they've had this feeling before. But, man, they've been down for that squad for a long time, and for most of that time, they were sorry. Like, can you imagine what it must be like if you're one of those people that had held season tickets for the Warriors for like 30, 40 years, and you got to experience this in the same building, by the way, where they were sorry, right? Like, I think it's dope for the Warriors they were able to win this in that building before they moved to the new one. They win it in the old creaky place that's loud as hell. Like, I can't imagine how dope that was for everybody. And, of course, I can't imagine how dope it was for Kevin Durant, as he was the guy, and JaVale McGee. Those are the two guys, the big guys that got their first championships, right? Like, you just saw it in Durant's face all over it, just like, yo, man, I got a championship. And I think there's something interesting about guys winning championships in sports that we lose sight of, which is very few of us have anything that we've dreamed of since we were children, right? Like, you could say I wanted to be a doctor when I was growing up or whatever it was, but, like, I didn't want to be a basketball player when I grew up, but I've dreamed of winning a championship. You know, like, you didn't have to be in that world to dream of that sort of thing. So imagine that, like, that is your dream, and you're standing there, and the clock is running out, and you're like, oh, snap, this is about to happen. Like, I know this is about to happen. And it happened, you know? And so here's Kevin Durant talking about the moment he realized that they won that title.
It was 55 seconds left, and I went over to half court line, and I bent down. I was like, is this really happening? And Dre was like, keep playing to the end. Andre Iguodala was like, keep playing. We got 50 seconds left. And I'm like, bro, we about to win a title.
They hit Kevin Durant like he was a rookie. Like, Kevin Durant's like, isn't this cool? We've done this before. Get to the end. Now, the question's been asked now. Kevin Durant won Finals MVP, won a championship over LeBron. Does this mean that the league belongs to Kevin Durant? No. No. And that's no knock on Kevin Durant. It's a rare situation where we have it like right as we have it right now, where the league belongs to LeBron and every storyline basically runs back through LeBron. The league belonged to Michael Jordan for a very long time. But serious question, at any other point, has this league ever belonged to one player? Like the 1960s, you could say that the league belonged to the Celtics, but you wouldn't say that the league belonged to Bill Russell, right? The 70s, which, you know, barely happened as far as most of us, you know, think of or talk about when it comes. The 80s didn't belong to Bird. They didn't belong to Magic and the Taylor. They didn't belong to Jordan. Like, the league was the league. Now, the league belonged to Jordan in the 90s. I think Howard Bryant made this point on Twitter. Like, the league belonged to Jordan in the 90s. The league belongs to LeBron James right now. Even when LeBron loses, the league belongs to LeBron. And then after LeBron leaves, the league's just going to go back to being the league, right? And, again, that's not a knock on Kevin Durant, right? Kevin Durant is a great player. Kevin Durant is the second best player in the NBA. But the league isn't his, and I get the feeling Kevin Durant doesn't want the league to be his. Like, he didn't go to Golden State to be like, I can take over the league. He went to Golden State to be like, yo, I've got some guys here around me, so it doesn't have to be all about me. Which is just interesting because it's kind of a very millennial sort of outlook on how to do this. And this is what I mean by that. I said earlier today on Twitter that Kevin Durant was, quote, a bit millennial. Shannon, this is going to shock you, but when I said that, all the millennials popped up, sounded real sensitive.
Sounding real, I don't know, millennial?
Yeah. So here's what I meant in that case. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong about this. We did an interview on Highly Questionable with Kevin Durant a few years ago. And we were trying to get Michael Beasley stories out of him because he's known Michael Beasley forever, right? And everybody wants Michael Beasley stories. And so Durant gets to talking about Bees, and he says, well, you know, one thing to remember about us, man, is that, you know, he's still just a kid, man. We just kids trying to figure out our way, and I don't understand. Basically, I don't understand why y'all are so hard on us. as we were kids just trying to figure out our way. And I'm like, what the hell you mean y'all are kids, right? Like, I am of a generation where if you were a kid, that wasn't something you were bragging about. Like, we were certainly wrong about being men when we thought that we were men, but I felt like we weren't ever on some, hey, man, we just a bunch of kids out here. Like, that was never it. This generation seems to be much more in line to extending childhood in that sort of way, right? Like, they kick it just a little bit different. They're also a bit more, like, publicly emotive and a bit more honest about their sensitivities and insecurities than people who are my age and older, right? Or I'll put it to you a different way. The preeminent, like, cultural artistic force in the mainstream when I was coming up was gangster rap, right? You could like it, love it, like it, hate it, whatever it is, but gangster rap, that was the preeminent force in that way. You know what the preeminent force was for a lot of these millennials? Kanye. No knock on Kanye. I like Kanye. Kanye ain't no gangster, right? Like, Kanye's spitting it to you according to something else. Like, they generationally have some attitudes that are a little different than older people. And I can't imagine someone as good as Kevin Durant from a previous era really wanting to be like, yeah, I mean, I could carry a team, but who wants to do that? And I got no problem with him for the fact that he made that decision. Like, I'm not casting it, like, there's no judgment that I'm raining upon him because that's how he feels, right? Like, I'm not. But that is how he feels, So when we say, hey, man, the league's not going to be Kevin Durant's, I don't think Kevin Durant cares because Kevin Durant doesn't even care if the Warriors are his. Now, take LeBron James, who by definition would count as being a millennial. LeBron James knows the league is his, seems to kind of like the fact that the league is his, and damn sure every team that he's been on has been his, right? Durant's wired a little bit different. You don't believe Kevin Durant's wired a little bit differently? Here's him talking about the meaning that he found in Golden State.
The toughest challenge was to come in here and see how I can help Steph get better, how I can help Clay get better, Draymond, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, JaVale McGee, the whole team. Just see how I can help them get better. That was more important to me than anything. Proving haters wrong, like that's cool. That's cool for me to talk about on Instagram or Twitter, but like you don't concern me. I'm coming in and working every day, seeing how I can be the best teammate I could be, the best player I can be. And I knew at some point in my life that it'll come around for me. So I just try to stay with those principles and keep grinding, man. I'm kind of lost for words right now.
Yeah, that dude doesn't care about whether the league is his. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not where he is. He does not care whether or not the league is his. And I got a lot of respect for him being like, look, I'm just trying to be the best I can. I'm trying to control the part that I can control. Because he sounds like he's a lot happier than that sociopath Michael Jordan, who's always out here for somebody to beat. Michael Jordan doesn't like winning. Michael Jordan likes beating people. Two different things.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
All guests join us on the Shell Pinto Performance Line, just like our next guest. He's an ESPN radio host in Cleveland, Ohio. His name is Aaron Goldhammer. Now, Aaron, is interesting. For people who don't know, you and I first got acquainted 10 years ago. I'd written a column saying the 07 Cavs were the worst team since the merger to make the NBA Finals. Now we're full circle 10 years later, and the Cavs went against maybe the best team we've ever seen in the NBA Finals. Does it feel now after this loss kind of like that one where you just look up and realize, hey, man, we had something going on the other side that was more than we could deal with?
Bomani, I've decided something today, and that is that I think the 2016-17 Cavs are the best team ever in NBA history to not win the NBA championship.
Really?
I think in the vast majority of years, if you look back over the course of the last 20 or 30, I think this Cavs team would have beaten Spurs teams. I think it would have beaten both Warrior teams. I think they would have had a shot against some of the Jordan teams, and I think they would have had a shot against some of the teams in the 80s. But I think they're better, for example, than the 87 Celtics. I think they're better than the 84 Lakers. And they just happen to run into an all-time buzzsaw with Golden State, and the Warriors were so good they beat them in 5. Although I also think this series was closer to me than a 5-game series. I think the Cavs had a shot to win both Game 3 and Game 5. And I think if you play the series over again, the Warriors probably win 8 out of 10 times, I would say. But there are also a few times where the Cavs probably get some bounces to go their way, and this thing may go 7 and they may steal it. So I thought the series was closer than the 5-game result. And I think the gap between the two teams isn't as huge as some people are making it out to be today.
Now, I agree with you in a sense that this series was definitely closer than I think people gave it credit for being. Because I feel like the first halves in all these games were pretty competitive, except for Game 4 where the Cavs actually won. But you're really putting them up there with the 84 Lakers?
Yeah, I am. I think Magic had a lot to learn in 84. These are things, again, they're hypotheticals we'll never be able to answer. Could Tristan guard Kareem in the post? You know what I mean? Like, I can't. These are things that I can't totally speculate on. So I maybe am exaggerating. I don't know. The 84 Lakers, if you got in a time machine, might beat the Cavs in 7. But my point is that they're one of the best teams ever. Certainly they're in the conversation as one of the best teams ever to come up short. And the reason they didn't win is because how good the Warriors are, more so than any shortcomings that this Cavs team has.
All right, we're talking to Eric Goldhammer of ESPN Radio in Cleveland on the right time. See, the reason they gave me pause, though, is this is a 51-win team that we weren't sure could play any defense until this season started. Like, is this one of those teams that you wind up developing a different sort of affection for because of what the ride was like?
Yeah, I mean, I think they realized the whole season and talked about, Bomani, that the regular season didn't matter to them. And they weren't healthy, and there were some games where they tanked. I mean, Ty Lue even used the word tank in a press conference where there was a game in Memphis where they decided not to play a healthy LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love because they were resting and trying to prepare themselves for the postseason. And I think the injuries that they had prevented them from developing good defensive habits over the course of the whole year. But I thought once they hit the postseason, they improved dramatically in that area. Looking forward to next year, I think defense is an area where they know they need to get even better. But I think, again, their offense was so historically great, Bomani. I think that it would have overcome the defensive ineffectiveness in so many cases throughout basketball history, but not against this Warriors team.
Now, is part of how this team is going to improve defensively next year by, getting different players at the top of the masthead?
We did a poll on our show this morning about the future of the Big Three in Cleveland. 50% of Cleveland wants to trade one of the Big Three. I'm guessing they don't want to trade LeBron, although we did have a guy call us today, or maybe he sent an email suggesting that the Cavs should consider that, which I think is crazy. The idea would be if you're going to lose him in 2018 anyway, you might as well get something for him now. I think it's a ridiculous idea. Most people would say Kevin Love would be the one of the Big Three that they would want to move. The Cavs are destined to have that conversation. Will they make calls about Kevin Love? Yes. Will they receive calls about Kevin Love? Yes. Do I think Kevin Love will be traded? No. Because I just don't know what's out there available where the Cavs feel like they're going to give themselves a better chance to beat the Warriors without Kevin Love in the mix. But I can't totally look into the crystal ball and guarantee that that's not the case. So I wouldn't be stunned if Love was moved at some point this summer. But if I was a betting man, I would bet on it not happening just because I don't know if the right deal is going to materialize.
All right, talking to Aaron Goldhammer of ESPN Radio in Cleveland on the right time. Wouldn't it help if we knew if the Cavs, who the general manager was going to be? Because one of the quiet things that if you're a casual basketball fan, you don't pay that much attention to is that the Cavs general manager, I think his contract expires this year, and there's no compelling reason why hasn't signed one, right?
Well, David Griffin's contract expires on June 30th, and here's what we know, Bomani. He and Dan Gilbert, the Cavs owner, have talked about a new contract. But Dan Gilbert, according to ESPN's Brian Windhurst, who we had on our show earlier today, has not made a formal offer to David Griffin for a contract. It's crazy, Bomani, because in Golden State, for example, they made the finals and won the title, and they gave Bob Myers, their chief executive, a contract extension. And then they lost the championship but won 73 games the next year, and they ripped up that first contract and gave him another one. The reason being, and this is all from Brian, from what he told us on our show earlier today, that they were afraid of other teams coming in and stealing him away, paying him more money, giving him a bigger opportunity. And they wanted to make sure he was so integral to building their team, drafting Draymond, Klay, and Steph. They wanted him a part of their future, so they locked him up. The Cavs have not done that with David Griffin, which leads me to believe they don't feel the same way about Griff as Golden State does about Bob Myers. I think Griff is a tremendous executive. I think there are 28 teams in the league who would love to have him running the show. And I think if he was out on the open market, he'd have a job in 5 seconds. But I'm not sure the Cavs feel like he's at the core of building what they have. He didn't draft Kyrie. He didn't convince LeBron to re-sign. Not to take anything away from Griff, the JR moves, there are moves he's made that have been tremendous. I just don't think the owner, Dan Gilbert, feels like David Griffin is a must-have for the Cavs to compete for a championship next year in the same way that he feels like LeBron, Kyrie, the players, the coaching staff are must-haves.
All right, last thing right fast before we go, just because you mentioned it. Are you guys really buying into the whispers that LeBron might leave in 2018?
I don't know, Bomani. I don't – at this point, if you'd asked me a year before he left the first time, I would have told you that I thought he was going to stay. And then if you asked me a year before he came back, I would have told you there's no way he's going to end up back in Cleveland a year from now. We have to know what the landscape of the league looks like a year from now. And until I know that, I can't definitively say one way or the other. But I will tell you that I wouldn't put it past him. We have that history together, right, of him leaving. And I think him leaving the second time would be much different than the first because he delivered Cleveland a championship. And I think the message from Cavs fans if he left again would be, thank you. You're welcome back here anytime. And we wouldn't burn anyone's jersey in effigy in a parking lot or, go on the radio raving and ranting the way we did the first time. It's his right at that point, if he decided he wanted to go somewhere else. If I was a betting man, I would say LeBron will play in Cleveland the rest of his career because right now it looks to me like the Cavs are the team that has the best shot at beating the Warriors. Really, at the end of the day, I mean, the Lakers, what do the Lakers have right now? But next summer I might look at the Lakers and say, oh, my gosh, Lonzo Ball's the rookie of the year. Russell Westbrook and Paul George are signing there too. This is the next hot place for the NBA. But at this point, I can't project that. I don't know is the answer to the question. But I don't know is different than yes, and it's different than no. It's somewhere in the middle.
All right, Aaron Goldhammer, ESPN Radio in Cleveland. Thanks so much, my man. I appreciate it.
You're great, Bomani. Thank you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
All right, finals are done. The Golden State Warriors are your champions. There we are. And now we talk about LeBron. And look, I feel like we waited a while before we brought this here back to LeBron. Hey, man, the Warriors aren't as interesting to talk about. We talked about Kevin Durant first. We gave him a shine. We had an hour to show before you got in your car and turned it on right here. And now it's a matter of trying to figure out what the deal is with LeBron. And look, I know you guys. I know what you care about. You care about LeBron versus Jordan. And I know a lot of you guys say that you're tired of hearing about LeBron versus Jordan. And if you are tired of hearing about LeBron versus Jordan, I got you back. And I got you back because I'm here to tell you there's no reason to talk about LeBron versus Jordan anymore. Here's why. Think about it for a second. LeBron's got 3 championships, right? He's won 3 rings. Been in the finals 8 times, but he has won 3 rings. Kobe Bryant, by my math, made it to the finals, 8 times, right? The 3 times they won the championship, 2004, and then 3 more. So it's 7, right? He made it 7 times. He has 5 championships. We have already skipped over him in the LeBron ascent, right? Like, we're not here on that, well, you think LeBron is Kobe? No. We got off that one a while ago. We're going straight to LeBron and Jordan, right? Magic Johnson got 5 championship rings. We have already jumped over Magic Johnson, which, again, I feel like we need to think a little bit more about this one before we do it because I think we're really selling Magic Johnson short. But we have jumped all the way over Magic Johnson, and we're going straight to Jordan. That's the only place where we put LeBron in these discussions is how do you compare to Michael Jordan? That's it. And the only way that I think that he would really catch Michael Jordan for people is if he got 6 rings. Like, as we went through it in this postseason, yeah, people are like, I think he's up there with Mike, da-da-da, and all this stuff. But I really think it was going to be a matter of needing to win 6 because you guys, rings with all the Z's in it, right? Like, you guys are on rings. You realize for LeBron to catch Michael Jordan in rings, that it will require him to win a ring at the earliest in his year 17 season. Like, this is year 14 for LeBron. If the Cavs were to win, or wherever LeBron plays, if they were to win the next 3 championships, that would get LeBron to 6 at the end of year 17. Do you realize how much we are asking for to ask LeBron to still be a dude that makes his team a championship contender in year 17? Like, Tim Duncan won a championship with the Spurs in year 17. And Tim Duncan's presence absolutely had a lot to do with them winning a championship in year 17. How long had it been in the in-between before Tim Duncan had won a championship? Tim Duncan won a championship in 2007, then it took another 7 years before they got another one. Year 17 is a lot, especially if we're asking LeBron to be the guy that drives this. He's not going to get there, right? I find it highly unlikely that he's going to get there. Now, maybe there'll be something that happens and the Warriors have like this contagious virus that tears the ACLs apart, right? And 4 guys get torn ACLs. I got no idea. But by and large, I'm looking at it. You're not going to get Mike. You're not going to get to 6. And the only thing that'll satisfy most people to get to where this is a legitimate thing, like widespread thing, is if he gets to 6. He's not getting to 6. And by the way, I don't think there's any shame in not getting to 6. I don't think there's any shame in not getting to 4. Like Larry Bird has 3 championships. And please understand, for a significant stretch of time in the NBA, Larry Bird was the best player in the NBA. I don't feel like any of us look back at Larry Bird and we're like, yeah, man, but you ain't win more championships. In fact, we don't even give Larry Bird any hell for the fact that he went 1-2, or his teams rather, went 1-2 in the finals against Magic and the Lakers. Like, we don't really do that. You see what I'm saying? Like, the only way that this ring discussion ever gets to be the way that we do it with LeBron is when he gets compared to Michael Jordan. And since that's the only place it really happens is when he gets compared to Michael Jordan, let's just go ahead and say now, he's not going to get to Michael Jordan. Like, maybe we can wait until after LeBron's career is over, and then we can come back and say, you know what, I wonder how it is that LeBron stacks up with Michael Jordan. Is that the way for us to do it? I think that's probably the best way for us to do it. Wait till we get to the end, because there's no way in the meantime, tween time, that we're going to put LeBron up there. Okay, that's not true, because maybe next year we'll forget about the fact they lost in the finals this year, and then we'll need content, and then we'll blow this thing back out here. But then when we bring it back out, it'll be all kinds of people just roundly dismissing the idea, right? Why? Because rings. By the way, this is the discussion that I'm having after the man averaged a triple-double over 5 games in the NBA Finals. After averaging a triple-double over 5 games in the NBA Finals, the kindest thing that I can do for LeBron is to tell people, let's just stop bringing Mike up.
In these Michael and LeBron discussions, how much does it help LeBron now that we have a team like the Warriors that he's already beat once and we see him going up against in the finals for the foreseeable next year at least?
I think it's helped, like, put what he's doing in context, right? Like, I think that's the best way to put it. I think it's put it into a certain context. He's the only player in the league that we are requiring to win a championship every year. Right? Like, I don't think anybody is under that sort of pressure where not winning a championship is a failure. Like, we had some individual years maybe we could have pointed out with Kevin Durant, for example, where he didn't win a championship, and we were calling that some measure of failure. But by and large, nobody else has to go out here with a championship every year. Steph Curry was the unanimous MVP last year on a 73-9 team. And we've given LeBron way more hell in other circumstances for not winning a championship, right? The Warriors coming around and being the juggernaut that they are, I think allowed for people to watch LeBron and see, like, look, LeBron balled out in this series. Just look at who it is on the other side, which I feel like is something that we really haven't said about LeBron since 2007. Again, 2009, 38-8-8 against Orlando. And y'all was popping up with, how come you ain't win no championship? You know? 2014, where he shot 58% from the field. I forget what the average was, and Kawhi Leonard got Finals MVP for guarding him. We're still looking at him like, all right, man, you not one, not two, not three. Y'all didn't win it. This stretch in Cleveland, interestingly enough, even though they put together a team that had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, this is the first time I think that we've been in a position where LeBron can play really well and the team can lose. And we look at LeBron and we're just like, you know what, man, you're great. Otherwise, we're not there.
I think we all would agree at this point that Michael Jordan is some sort of mythical feature.
He's Babe Ruth.
Mystical feature. Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. Babe Ruth. So is it a disservice to LeBron that we're even comparing him to Jordan, where we should compare him more so to the Magics and the Birds?
No, I think it's the ultimate compliment to him that we compare him to Michael Jordan. Like, that's the dilemma on it, where on one hand, I can point out how ridiculous we're being. Like, think about this. Kevin Garnett isn't in any of these discussions, right? But as a result of not being in any of these discussions, you just give Kevin Garnett credit for being Kevin Garnett, right? Like, you deal with Kevin Garnett as, okay, this is what Kevin Garnett is. There is nothing that we point to about what Kevin Garnett is not, even though Kevin Garnett had a stretch where he may have been the biggest choker in the NBA, right? But we never, ever talk about Kevin Garnett in the context of what he's not. You know what Kevin Garnett wasn't? Kevin Garnett wasn't a guy that you could put up front on a franchise and say, carry us by yourself. He wasn't that dude. Like, the thing that Kevin Garnett, in fact, I could make an argument, is like proto Durant in the sense that he went to the Celtics because, hey, man, being one of the committee that runs this fits better for me. Now, what Garnett got to do was be rah-rah guy and do all that stuff and then anchor the defense, but we never had to worry about Kevin Garnett and the fact that he did not want those shots at the end. No shade. He just did not want those shots at the end, right? We don't do that to Kevin Garnett because we don't put him on that level. We put LeBron up there with Jordan because that's where he belongs. That's where he belongs. Like, I think you can say Magic belongs up there too, but he's up there because that's where he belongs. But it's interesting that now these things have happened and we've seen what's happened with the Warriors, and then we look back at LeBron and we can be like, okay, you are great, and sometimes great doesn't win. And then there are the LeBron haters who have their Golden State Lakers t-shirt on.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
We talk about what went on last night and how you got to stop having that LeBron Jordan conversation, at least for a little while. Let's hit the phones and talk to Coach Francis. Coach Francis, what's going on?
Hey, Bo. Yeah, I watched the game last night. As a matter of fact, all you young cats should check out the 30 by 30 and see how basketball was played and see if these little cream puff teams right now could play in that era. So don't tell me about no LeBron when Jordan was getting his teeth knocked out. Let's see. Golden State just got too many ball handlers.
Coach, man, why you be so old and grumpy, man?
Because I'm old and grumpy, man.
Go ahead, though. Go ahead.
I mean, that's just where I am. I'm a Jordan fan, and it ain't going to change.
Indeed.
Golden State's just got too many ball handlers bringing the ball down court, and Cleveland's transition defense is just not there. I'd like to see Mark Jackson get a job somewhere, Bomani.
I think he's doing a good job here.
Okay. Well, as far as LeBron goes, I got a little hot take. He's going to go to the Spurs. Chris Paul's going to go to the Spurs, and they're going to play for Greg Popovich.
I tell you, that would be an interesting thought. And Coach, my bad, thanks so much for the honesty and the call. He ain't going to the Spurs, though. Like that I don't see. Because the Spurs' whole institutional setup is not built for LeBron James to show up. It is built for Tim Duncan to show up. It is built for Kawhi Leonard to show up. Spurs be like, nah, man, keep your rings. We don't want all them reporters. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number on the right time. DJ Mike Hitman, what's going on?
Hey, Bo, before I talk about LeBron, Lakers fans, Boston Celtics taught y'all how to win because y'all ain't never won nothing till the Celtics taught y'all how to win. Never forget that. True Celtics. We taught y'all how to be winners. Thank you. And, Bo, I'm tired of everybody putting Michael Jordan with LeBron James. It was a cat out there back in the days called Harold Miner. Baby Jordan, y'all called Michael Jordan. Listen to this, Bo. He ain't achieved nothing. LeBron James only won 3 championships. How y'all put him before Kobe? How y'all put him before Magic? How y'all put him before Bird? Bird would have won 4 if he would have hurt his back. Let's count that. And how you going to put him before Robert Horry?
Mike. Did you just say how you going to put him before Robert Horry?
Robert Horry got more rings than him. I'm counting the rings.
Mike, it's Robert Horry, man. It's Robert.
That's right. And If that's the case, Steve Kerr won 7 rings, so he passed Michael Jordan.
You just put Steve Kerr. I think Steve Kerr got 4 of them, but you just put Steve Kerr ahead of LeBron James, Mike.
I'm talking about rings, Bo. I ain't talking about players. I got 5 rings, Bo, for best man of the year. But it's a new cat in Chicago named Roscoe Bosco Pico Train, Bo. I got to beat him, Bo.
Hold on. Tell me more about this award. What is this award you two are going for?
Oh, best man of the year, best dresser. But Roscoe Bosco Pico Train got something on me I ain't got, Bo. This man got gold teeth all around his mouth and wrapped around his neck. I can't compete with that. I brush my teeth.
Mike, is this a competition with you and your partners? You know what I mean?
Yes, it is. I don't like Roscoe Bosco Pico Train. No man could come to Chicago from Detroit and outdress me. The man is dirty, filthy. We got to fight. I'm the real champion in Chicago, Bo.
Man, what good game think about all this, man?
Good game think it's a nut. So Gil Game said, Mike, you need to get in the ring with him, take him to the Golden Dome, and fight a charity fight. And I'll put up $700. I'm taking him out in the first round because he got gold teeth. It's going to hurt you hit him in the mouth. I think it move, Bo. I'm the real people champion in Chicago. It's just like Michael Jordan is the man in Chicago. Bo, they don't know me. They don't know me. And one thing about LeBron James, Bo, I can snap my fingers, clap my hands, because he ain't going to never win again. And Cleveland, take them Blues and clean up that 36. That's all you can do. Don't waste your money. At least clean up your own city. Have a good one, Bo.
All right, Mike. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number.
It's like Mike combined 2 episodes of Martin right there in that one call.
Mike allows us to peep through the keyhole and see a world that many people have no idea, like, truly exists. No idea whatsoever. Yeah, I wasn't prepared for all that.
I appreciated it, though.
He gave us 2 episodes of Martin and basketball history, and we had Coach Francis. Like, we get Coach Francis and Mike back-to-back. This would be the greatest radio show ever made. Ever made. All right, before I forget about this, LeBron James offered a little sound that I understand got some of y'all a little bit riled up. This is LeBron talking about whether or not he's played on a super team.
I don't believe I've played for a super team. I don't believe in that. I don't believe we're a super team here. So, no, I don't. You guys want one more question before I leave and not see you guys for a long time?
You chucked the deuce on him right there. Let me ask this question about the super team. This may be something that we explore a little later in the show. So what is or is not a super team? Does it become a super team just based upon the way that the guys were acquired? So, like, I think about in music, for example, a super group like the Traveling Wilburys. Or, if you don't hang out in that sort of world, LSG. The Firm. What else we got? We got any other rappity rap super groups? Like Slaughterhouse? Does that count? Although I feel like that's stretching super. Not that they can't rap, but like the level of stardom, right? So the Warriors. Are we calling the Warriors a super team? I mean, they added Kevin Durant to a team that was already there. So, like, I guess what I'm saying is, what's the difference between a super team and a really good team? Because I get the argument for saying that the Heat were a super team down here, but again, go look at what that roster looked like that 2010-2011 season. It was like a super 3 and then 9. Just 9 dudes, right? Just like that was it. It was like 3 quarters and 9 pennies.
I think the argument for a lot of people when it comes to a super team is whether or not the star players were homegrown. And with Golden State, the majority of the guys, the Draymond, Clay, and Steph, the core 3 there were homegrown. Yeah, they brought in Iguodala. Yeah, obviously Durant this year, and they added other pieces. But at least their argument, you even go back to Barnes last year in the 73 wins, it was guys that were drafted and grew up in the organization.
Okay, but so what part of the Cavs? Okay, so are we saying that, what about trades? Like, how do trades play into this? So are the Cavs not a super team because they had the assets to trade and get Kevin Love? Because the only guy to sign there as a free agent was LeBron James. Like, that's where I asked that. What's the difference between a super team and a really good team? The Clippers, right? Chris Paul, Blake Griffin. Chris Paul was traded. You know, like, I mean, I just don't know where the line is. Were the Lakers of the '80s super teams because they were doing things like adding Jamal Wilkes, adding Bob McAdoo, right? I mean, Michael Thompson, not quite the same, but the number 1 overall pick for them, and they added him. Like, where's the difference between a super team and a really good team? Because I would argue this Cavs team is not a super team. I mean, it's Kevin Love. Like, how much, what level of props are we giving Kevin Love here in this discussion? What level of props are we giving Kyrie? Is Kyrie Irving top 5 in the league at his position? Really? Like, is he? Because I bet I can you name 5 point guards better than Kyrie Irving? Because I bet I can name 5 point guards better than Kyrie Irving. In no particular order, right? John Wall, I think, is a better point guard than Kyrie Irving is. Chris Paul is a better point guard than Kyrie Irving is. I think Stephen Curry is a better point guard than Kyrie Irving is. Ooh, now it's starting to slow down. But tell me this. Is Kyrie Irving better than Damian Lillard? Like, I mean, I asked that as a serious question. Is Kyrie better than Damian Lillard?
No, because I know I've said this at least one time while watching Damian Lillard. Wow, that was a great pass from Damian Lillard. Something that has never been uttered when you watch Kyrie Irving.
That is actually a very interesting point about Kyrie, where even when we talk about Kyrie doesn't pass enough, are you ever like, wow, look at that pass that Kyrie just made right there? Also, Russell Westbrook is a better point guard than Kyrie Irving. We're counting James Harden there as a better point guard than Kyrie Irving. So if we're talking about a dude that's not even top 5 at his position, which is not a slight to him, it speaks more to how great the position is. But if he's not top 5 at his position, is that a super team?
The comparison that I make with Kyrie Irving is like a quarterback that can't pass but can run. Like, he's great at his position playing it, but he doesn't make anyone around him better. He makes himself better.
I think Kyrie Irving is more like the Jeff George quarterback who's got an amazing arm, just makes suspect decisions and gets sacked a lot because he ain't reading the defense. I think we're there. But a good call. I think we're all in the same place.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
All guests join us on the Shell Pinto Performance Line, just like our next guest. He covers the NBA for us here at ESPN. His name is Chris Haynes. Now, Chris, we talked about this right before the break. The Warriors had a shoot-around today, and everybody showed up. What's going on with that?
No, that was the day of the game, day of Game 5. Obviously it's a 6:00 start. So a lot of teams don't have a shoot around when a tip is that early, but it was up for grabs if anybody wanted to come out and do it. Most teams tend to not go. Most players tend to not go, and they choose to get some rest instead. But I was told that every player on that roster showed up for shoot around. That's how serious they was about that game.
Now, how close is this team?
It's difficult because I cover, it's the third team I've covered. I covered the Blazers, covered the Cavaliers, and the Warriors. They just have different set of clicks. They're I would say they're close, but they're not close in the aspect of the Cleveland Cavaliers where LeBron James, he typically has the whole team going out as one. Whatever they're doing. If it's watching a movie, going to play cards, going to a barbecue, they do it as one. This team has different cliques, but they are close. And I think what it has shown me is that there's different ways of going about it to where there's a different level of closeness. And am I going to say the Cavaliers are closer than the Warriors? I wouldn't say that. It's just different, and I've just seen a different style. If that answers your question.
It does. We're talking to Chris Haynes of ESPN on the Right Time. We were talking about the Cavs a little earlier. We're going to get back to the Warriors. But after watching them in these 5 games and seeing them in the finals the last 2 years, where do you think this roster is and what they need to try to do to get to the same level as Golden State?
I don't know, Bo. Like I'm not sure it's set up in the system to where they can do anything to make up that ground. It was set up so favorably for Golden State because they drafted all their players, and so they were able to retain those players and still sign Kevin Durant when the TV revenue kicked in. Cleveland is not set up for them to do so. The only scenario, and it's a very slim chance that happen, but the only scenario of way they can bring in a so-called superstar talent is if Carmelo Anthony agreed to a buyout with New York. That's the only way they could bring in a guy of that caliber. And then still, if you bring in that guy, I'm not sure that still covers the ground that Golden State Warriors has an edge up on. But that's the only way they can bring in a significant piece of talent for next season. I heard Paul George still has a year under his contract. They have to trade for him. Indiana's not giving him up. There's no buyout talks or anything like that. Carmelo's the only way. And like I said, I'm not sure that even gets it done.
All right, we are talking to Chris Haynes of ESPN on the right time. Now to the Warriors. This season is interesting to think that the first game of the year they got blown out, and all of a sudden we questioned this experiment. And then after that they went on a roll, and then once they figured out what to do with Kevin Durant, they seem to be absolutely unstoppable. What do you think has been the most interesting thing to watch happen with this team as the year has gone on?
Just see how roles have changed and shifted over time. Obviously, you can tell by like the first 4 months of the season, Stephen Curry was not comfortable. You could tell he was trying a little bit too much, thinking a little bit too much. And when you get Stephen Curry thinking, that's not really his game. He likes to play off feel and off instincts. And he was able to do that around January. When I remember KD told me at one point, and I wrote this in December, he had to go to Steph and tell him, like, look, play your game, and I'll adjust to you. Like, stop trying to see and feel where I'm going to be at or where others are going to be at. Play you. I'm joining the team that you shaped and rebuilt. Like, you figure it out. I mean, I'll figure it out, and you just do you. And I think once Stephen Curry was able to hear that and go out there, he even told me, he said, man, that was such like a relief off my shoulders, is where I could go out there and play it, and I wouldn't disrupt anything. I wouldn't cause any friction. He needed to hear that. And I think that's what helped the growing process. And, you know, Kevin Durant, man, look, his game is just – he's a game that he's gonna drop 25 easily on any system, any team. So it was a seamless transition for him, and everybody else just fell into place, man. And I think it couldn't have been the perfect fit. You know, KD even talked about, like, there were things with Golden State that he learned as far as on offensive end. Like, if he moved here, that will automatically shift the defense here and draw two defenders without him not even having the ball, and where that will open up back doors and back cuts. He was like, wow, man, I've never even thought of something like that. Something to move as little as to the left would shift the defense. He said they didn't do things like that at OKC. Not a knock on what OKC did, but we all know, man, it was a predictable offense over there. Westbrook and KD took their turns. You got the ball, these 3 possessions, and Russ, you take over the next 2 possessions. And so it just you couldn't accomplish anything of that nature over there. So he learned a lot. Golden State learned a lot, and they got it done.
All right, we're talking to Chris Haynes of ESPN on the right time. Steve Kerr made it back for the NBA Finals. They won the championship with him on the bench. What are the questions there, or what are we hearing about him being back next year?
Well, I spoke with Bob Myers, the general manager for the Warriors. He said there's no doubt in his mind that Coach Kerr will be back as their coach. Obviously, look, I don't know if you guys saw it, but, you know, during the press conferences during the finals with Steve Kerr, you could tell he still was not right. You know, he's fidgety, he was moving. You can still – he was squinching, pain certain times. He's still not there. He's still not – so I think they're hoping that over the summer – hopefully something can be done, can find a remedy to cure those ailments, because he was still fighting through it, even though he came back. But I was told, assistant coaches as well told me, like, yeah, Steve Kerr is coming back. He will. He's not retired or anything along those lines. So just hopefully he can find some type of relief heading into next season.
All right, last question for Chris Haynes of ESPN on the right time. Should we expect this Warriors team to come back pretty much intact next year? The questions about Iguodala and Sean Livingston and what it'll take to keep them.
Yeah, myself and Ramona reported earlier during the finals that Kevin Durant is willing to take less in order to the team to retain the rights to Iguodala and Sean Livingston. And Stephen Curry, he will get his max over the summer. And so that's not saying that it's all going to get done, but it shows that KD is doing his part to take about $4 million less in order to keep their rights, and so they can be able to, Warriors can be able to offer something comparable to what the other teams in pursuit are going to fork out. We know, I was told Phoenix, Atlanta, Minnesota are 3 of the teams that will, you know, show some interest in Iguodala. So they're going to still be a fight, but KD is doing his part to hopefully bring that team back intact, because they do believe that they have a dynasty in the works.
All right, that's Chris Haynes, covers the NBA for us here at ESPN. Get some rest, my man. I know it's been a long one.
Too long, Bo, too long. Thanks, man.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Oakland wins a championship. We got to put on a little bit for Oakland. And when the Warriors win a championship, we go a step further. Joining us now on the line, you can check him out on ESPN Radio in Los Angeles. They also tell me that his son plays for the Golden State Warriors. His name is Michael Thompson. So, Michael, what's it like for you? Second time watching your son win a championship. I guess y'all are even on rings now, huh?
Well, before we get to that, I was thinking about that little bit you had coming in about listening to a song that gets you going, an old soul song. And I've been obsessed with listening to two songs lately that you probably never heard of, Bomani. I'll test your rock and roll or your musical history knowledge. I've been really jamming a lot to Concrete Jungle by Bob Marley. You ever heard of that?
You don't know who you talking to right now, man. Of course I know Concrete Jungle. No chains around my feet, but I'm not free.
Wow, man, I'm impressed with you even more than ever now. And then the other song, I know you don't know this one. Simple Man by Lynyrd Skynyrd.
I am actually, Shannon, what does my T-shirt say right now?
Lynyrd Skynyrd.
I am wearing a Lynyrd Skynyrd T-shirt right now.
What?
Yeah,
oh,
man.
My goodness.
Yeah, man.
No wonder. Yeah, wow, that is great. Well, I love those two songs. I've just been jamming to them a lot. Maybe, and that's those two songs have been calming me down over the last 2 weeks because I've been really tense with the Warriors. And like you said, what was it like to watch Clay win the second one last night? I tell you, you wouldn't want to be around me for about 2.5 hours of that game because I was frozen in place in fear of LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and those Cavs because they got it down to like 5 points, couple of possessions away in the fourth quarter. And, man, I couldn't move. I was so scared because I thought they had a chance to send it back to Cleveland for Game 6. And if they get back to Cleveland for Game 6, you know what was going to happen there. There was going to be a Game 7. So, but watching that last night when they finally had it sewn up in the last 2 minutes, I'll tell you, Bomani, it's well, let me put it in terms that I think everybody listening to us can understand who is a parent. No matter what your child is doing, if they're doing something they love, they have a passion for, and of course it's illegal, if they're doing something that you see them having a passion for and they're being successful at it, then you know how I feel. I feel no different from any parent out there. It's just that my son is doing a very public job on a big public stage, and so but I feel no different from any parent out there seeing their child succeed and they're passionate and whatever they have a passion for.
Now, how does it work for you, though, when he struggles? Because he did seem to have a difficult time this postseason.
Yeah, he was struggling for a while with a shot, but I love the way he continued to compete. He continued to look for a shot. He didn't let it affect the rest of his game, going out there and trying to play the best defense he could. And he better be on the all-defensive team after what he showed in the last couple of months on defense. I don't know who else they're going to put over him at the guard position. I think him and Avery Bradley are the two best defensive guards in the league. So hopefully the voters will do Clay some justice and put him on the all-defensive team.
All right, we are talking to Michael Thompson. Now, I have to ask you this because I always love talking to guys about this whose parents played in the league or whose children played in the league. What were the driveway games like?
I could beat Clay up until he was about 14. And he started to get a little rangy, got a little stronger. And I was in my late 40s, early 50s by then. So by the time I couldn't, the old man game, back him down game couldn't work anymore because as soon as I missed, I never got the ball back again.
Here's the question, though. After he beat you once, was that the end? Was that the end of the Thompson rivalry?
Oh, yeah. I knew my place then. I knew it was over. So I figured, okay, I passed the torch on to him and his older brother, Michael, and I understand my place. My time has now come and gone, and now it's his time.
All right, we are talking to Michael Thompson of ESPN Los Angeles on The Right Time. Now, I'm curious, when you thought about, what did you think the ceiling was for his game? Because he was a bit of a late riser in high school. He wound up being a top 50 player. He was around, I think, the number 10 pick in the draft, which is not where you get a star player normally. Did you think that his end result in the NBA could be what it's become?
Well, I got to be careful because I don't want to come off sounding like LeVar Ball, who I love, by the way, but we all know how LeVar is. But I told Clay in high school, when I saw his all-around ability to play the game, Bomani, I told him, I said, Clay, if you follow the 3 H's, like the triple H, just like in wrestling, if you stay humble, you stay hungry, and you stay healthy, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. Of course, he looked at me with disbelief, like I'm not thinking that way of myself. But I told him, I said, you are a Hall of Fame player if you follow those 3 rules, because I saw the talent.
How did the University of Minnesota not make an offer with him? Because I think it's interesting with he and Steph, where both of you guys, both your parents played and did not get offers from your father's alma maters, even though you might have been the greatest players in the history of those schools.
Bomani, I can identify with Del Curry. Del Curry was calling his alma mater. I think it was Virginia Tech, begging them to take his son, Steph. The coach at the time, we don't want to say who it was, but we know who it was, didn't think Steph was a Division I player. I was in the same position. I called Minnesota. I called SC, UCLA. I called University of Washington, all those Pac-12 schools. I said, listen, man, take my son. He's going to be a 3 or 4 year player. He's not a one-and-done guy, but he's going to be there for 3 or 4 years. He can play. All those coaches didn't think he was a D1 player. So what can you do?
We are talking to Michael Thompson of ESPN Los Angeles. I want to switch gears just a little bit because that 30 for 30 is coming on tonight about the Lakers and Celtics, and that's a rivalry that you were a part of. For you, joining those 1987 Lakers, what was that like showing up on that team?
Oh, man, Bomani, I was in the league for 8 years before that. And then when I walked in that Laker locker room and I talked to Jerry West in his office and talked to Pat Riley when they traded for me, and it goes to another level, is when you join a team like that, you're already in the NBA. They are supposed to be your peers, but they're really not because they're at a different level. So when I left the San Antonio Spurs and walked in that Laker locker room, the expectations to win, the all or nothing, it's championship or bust. It's a completely different atmosphere, completely different attitude and approach to the game, as it is now if you join the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Golden State Warriors. You walk into that locker room as a new player coming in, you are expected to produce, expected to follow the lines, and expected to win.
Now, how quickly did you get onto the expectation of hating the Boston Celtics?
Oh, I always hated them because I grew up a Laker fan watching Jerry West and Will Chamberlain. So, of course, the Celtics were their big rivalry. So even when I was in the Bahamas as a kid, I was always a Laker lad. I loved the Lakers ever since then. And even when I played against them, I had so much admiration and respect for Magic and Jamal Wilkes and Norm Nixon and Kareem and the whole gang you guys all know about. So, I always was more of a Laker fan than a Celtic fan. And before I even joined the Lakers, when they met in the finals, oh, man, I was pulling for the Lakers as if I was in that locker room.
We're talking to Michael Thompson of ESPN Los Angeles. So, I got to ask you, those 88 Lakers against these Warriors, who you got?
I got to be careful because, Magic's the mayor of Los Angeles. He could have me exiled. So I got to be careful how I answer this. Now, listen, I believe we could beat them. I really do. Obviously, Magic said he believes we would sweep them. But the great champions like Magic, they all think that way, that they're not going to concede to anybody. But, I guess if you just do the simple math, Bomani, threes beat 2. We shot 8 threes a game. These guys shoot 8 threes a quarter and make most of them. So I'm going to go with the Warriors. And I know that Magic's going to be mad at me, but I'm going with the Warriors.
Now, here's a question that I think would be a little easier for you, though. You won't have any conflict about this. Could you see Cavs-Warriors becoming a rivalry like Celtics-Lakers, given that we've had them in the finals 3 years in a row?
Oh, it already is, because now we're going to have it for 3 more years, Bomani. Where are these teams going? None of these teams are going nowhere. There's nobody in the East that could come even close to challenging LeBron. LeBron's 32. Does he look like he's slowing down to you? Kyrie's coming into his own now as a superstar himself, and they're always going to put the right pieces around LeBron to keep him in the Eastern Conference number 1 seed. So they're not going to this. So get ready, Bomani, to see this. I'm going to predict it right now for 3 more years. Warriors-Cavs. So it already is Celtics-Lakers right now.
All right, that is Michael Thompson. Check him out on ESPN Radio in Los Angeles. We got to talk some music again, man. I know when I did the show down there, we were supposed to, but we ran out of time.
Yeah, man, we could always talk music. I got to throw some Jimi Hendrix, Purple Rain in there. It's not Purple. What's that?
Purple Haze.
What's the name? Purple Haze. Oh, I love that opening riff.
We'll do that, man. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Bomani. See you on Highly Questionable.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
That was fun with Michael Thompson, even though he ain't know who he was talking to about that music.
He had to get the number 2 pencil.
He did. I had to hit him with the lyrics. I had to send him a picture of me in this Skinner T-shirt, which, of course, people hit me with some guy thought he was going to educate me. You might want to read up on Leonard Skinner and the Confederate flag. Wow, really? Leonard Skinner had the Confederate flag at their concert? I had no idea. Wow. It's a complex thing there. Hey, man, one thing I figured out about music, we all got awful people that we listen to. Like, if all of us decided we're not going to listen to any music by people who do things we find to be objectionable, we'd listen to nothing. We cut everybody some slack here and there, right? I thought about this once, all the awful stories I heard about James Brown, and I had to be honest with myself. He's going to have to do a little bit more than that before I stop rocking with James Brown. It happens. 888-729-3776, that is our telephone number. Let's hit the phones and talk to Joe in Raleigh. Joe, I thought you said that the Cavs are going to sweep this, man.
Well, my friend, how are you today?
I am good, sir.
I am not good, my friend. I'm not good at all. We go back to 1980s when Ric Flair was getting jumped by the Russians and Dusty Rhodes came in to help. And what did Dusty Rhodes get for his helpness? What did he get for his gratitude, like LeBron James coming back to Cleveland, helping the league, helped save the league when Michael Jordan retired? What does LeBron get? He gets jumped. He gets jumped by the Four Horsemen. He gets jumped by Klay Thompson. He gets jumped by Curry, and he gets jumped by Kevin freaking Durant. What more could he have done, Bomani? What more could LeBron have done? Did he have to sell popcorn? I mean, 30, mid to upper 30s, averaging a triple-double during the finals. What more can the man do? He's got to get some help. What is our society? Do you realize who our champions are in sports right now, Bomani? The Clemson Tigers, the New England Patriots, the North Carolina Tar Heels, and the Golden State Warriors. What a sorry, sorry world we live in right now, Bomani. I don't care I care, but what's going on overseas, what's going on with political, that doesn't matter right now. Look who we got as our champions. And LeBron James did everything he could do, sweat, blood, tears, sell popcorn, and where was his friends when he needed them? If I'm LeBron, I don't care if he comes to Fayetteville, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, to the Lakers, whatever that man's got to do. That man did everything in the world, and he gets jumped in a parking lot and can't do anything about it. This isn't on LeBron James. This is on society that we've allowed this to continue. The suckation of our spirit, of who we are as a unit. This is absolutely the worst I've ever felt in my life when I woke up this morning, Bomani Jones. This isn't funny. This isn't humorous. This doesn't bring joy to my life. This brings despair. This brings hatred. This brings a part of me that I don't even want to be a part of. I don't even want to watch sports right now. I have your highly questionable on DVR. I don't even want to press play, Bomani. I don't even want to press play. And it's the best day of my life. Tape from 4:30 to 5:02 just to make sure you get all the content. It's the worst day of my life, Bomani. What are we doing right now? When Coach K and LeBron and the Pittsburgh Steelers and teams like that are sitting on the sideline watching cheaters, cowards, and bandwagoners win titles. I mean, daggone, Bomani. Next thing you're going to tell me we're not good at soccer as Americans. I just don't know what to do, Bomani. I don't know where to turn. I don't know who to grasp onto. I can't stand looking at my child right now as he wears them ugly Steve Kerr shoes, Curry shoes. It's a despicable day for America.
Joe, is that the same kid you said you're going to kick out the house over the North Carolina
he's gone,
championship?
Bomani. I don't even know where he is. He graduated on Friday. His bags were packed. He's gone. I don't even know his reaction to this situation. Not even 100% sure where he lives, Bomani. And not 100% sure I even care where he lives or he gets his next meal. There's a lot of Tar Heel fans out there that can support him. And now there's Golden State fans that can support him. This is a disgusting day for America. With everything that Coach K and LeBron and Nick Saban have done for America, who's representing us? Who is our champions? How do you look at your child and tell them everything's going to be all right? Everything's not going to be all right, Bomani. It's not. It's a sad, sad day. And we need NFL football. Maybe it can save us, but I'm not sure even that can do it, Bomani. I'm not even sure that can do it.
Joe, I'm wishing you the best, man. You know I'm always wishing you the best.
Thank you. I know you and Shannon are there for me, but I don't even think that's enough right now, Bomani. I don't even think that's enough. And I never thought I'd say that out loud in my life.
Joe, you haven't sounded this down since North Carolina won the championship in 2009.
One thing I love about you is your memory, but it's not helping me right now, Bomani. And I appreciate that. Why don't we put a link like we did last time when you embarrassed me on national TV? You know?
I didn't embarrass you.
Enough is enough, Bomani. I'm out, man.
You signed up for the bet, Joe. You did that to yourself.
I understand that, but you didn't have to take so much joy from it.
I was trying to promote our radio show.
Enough is enough, man. Enough is enough. Hold me and wave your hands over your arms. I'm done, man. I can't answer the bell. I can't answer the bell.
You'll be back.
And that's a sad day.
You'll be back next season, Joe.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be back. That Coach K tattoo ain't going nowhere, but still, it's a sad, sad day. Not only for me, but for America. And I've had enough, Bomani. I've had enough.
You're my man, Joe. I appreciate the call.
I do, but end the call now before I cry.
Okay. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Shady, you weren't ready for that, was you? I wasn't ready for that.
I figured when they told me Joe was on the line, I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. LeBron and the Cavs lost the championship. Yeah, I don't even know what specifically Joe wanted to talk about, but we're going right to Joe.
Yes, and poor Joe.
He had to get it out, though, because Joe's not a big tweeter. He's on Twitter, Joe and Raleigh, but he's not a big tweeter. Usually I say, tweet it out. Get it out the system. Joe had to do that Professional Wrestling Shoot interview just now.
Yes, he did. And, by the way, my radio show is much better for it. Much better for it. By the way, we got a dispatch in from the Kobe stands. They have to be very happy after seeing LeBron lose that one. Like, I guess, they're the same state, but the Lakers and Warriors don't have any sort of rivalry. I wish they did have a rivalry, though, so we could see what the Kobe stands would do, like how torn they would be on what side they should pick, because, I feel like, though, the Kobe stands root against LeBron harder than they ever rooted for Kobe.
That's the thing. They don't really dislike the Warriors. Like you said, there's no real rivalry between the Lakers and the Warriors, so they can care less. It's all about LeBron and LeBron not... And LeBron and his conversations with LeBron and Jordan, yes, and the disrespect that they feel as though Kobe's received in this whole LeBron-Jordan conversation.
So tell me this. Do the Kobe stands root harder against LeBron than you used to root against Kobe?
No way. Not even close.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back tomorrow for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.